This is Jessica Waller speaking with Rodney Banks, Patriot Mobile employee former Patriot Mobile employee, sorry, who worked there for 3 years. If you could just tell us a little bit about your time there. I understand that you said you filed a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. And I remember you said you had a bit of trouble with the federal government actually finding them when you did that. So could you just speak on that a little and sort of update our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So, w- a group of us, including myself, we filed EEOC complaints. And during that process, we weren't able to go through with the EEOC complaints because they weren't able to locate a company by the name of Patriot Mobile LLC. And so essentially that stopped us from being able to go any further with EEOC. In addition, it also stopped us from being able to file any grievance against Patriot Mobile as it stands.
Because you've had so much trouble doing it the right way, can you tell us a little bit about that complaint and what you were going to speak out against?
Yeah, so it really was a group effort. Me personally, it was really discrimination against the African American employees at Patriot Mobile. When I joined Patriot Mobile, it was my department as the manager of that department. We were predominantly an African American group. Um, Once, I was about a year in, the company kind of shifted to a different direction. And in April, I think of 2021, 22, they terminated roughly 70% of their customer service tech support department, which was my department, including myself and a supervisor and a couple of agents, reducing that staff down to only about four African American agents, um, including one demoted supervisor that became a team lead now, who was superseded by a white employee who had only been there maybe 3 months. Um,
Wow.
and is also, by the way, a relative of, or a family member, I should say, of one of the stories or the higher ups in the corporation, which is typically how the business was run anyway.
And when you say the stories, Glenn's story, Jenny's story, the
Right.
CEO, CFO, uh, who knows, honestly, because
Yeah.
they keep changing titles on public documents. So
Yes.
nobody's actually held accountable, it seems. What kind of issues sort of bothered you when you were working there? That you said you went to Penn State and got a degree in, what was it, business?
Business administration from Penn State. I also got my paralegal license from Blackstone Career Institute, all in 2005
Mhm.
after I left the military.
And so within a couple months of working there, not only did like the racial discrimination and sexual exploitation of women that you've spoke out about, that I've written articles on, bother you, but also you started seeing some pretty concerning issues with the finances there. Can you speak to that a bit?
Yeah, so aside from the racial jargon that they would post on TVs within the building, I one of the things as a businessman, I noticed that the financial person, I should say, she's not a CPA. She was a CPA at one point, lost her license in 2007, I believe, and never got it back. But she was operating as a CPA. She was also operating as an HR director, which is a title that you have to be degreed for. So one of the things that I first noticed is that she was handling finances, particularly payroll. Um, and a lot of times with that payroll, there were errors. There were times people didn't get paid, especially with our sales team, commissions and things like that. And her response to that was typically, we should manage our money better, as if it was our place, to make sure that we had the money in pocket. We shouldn't expect payroll on Friday. like other employees would expect their payroll to come through. So it was kind of shocking to see that for the first time. But moreover, on the discrimination was, yeah, you did a story on the picture of the popcorn where they demonstrated how walls, pertaining to Donald Trump, how walls can create barriers. And the problem with that picture is they demonstrated in such a way that it basically segregated the white folks from the Asian folks and the black folks, being the smallest in the popcorn barrel. Um, and so employees would come to me with the complaint, and I didn't get it at first until I actually saw and paid attention to what they had posted literally on every TV in the building. So it was pretty disheartening for myself and any other African American employee or any other employee that was of a different race.
I remember you spoke of going to a meeting or it was a conference of some sort where Story said that racism doesn't exist.
Yeah, so that was really disheartening because uh, during these events, we rarely were invited, number one, to these events. And when we were invited, it was a harsh reality to choose between working and getting your hours or not getting your hours and going to these events. So for the employees that were living paycheck to paycheck, which is predominantly the majority of them, other than the VPs, um, it was hard to get these folks to come to these events, but it was important that they attend at the same time because it was an educational piece. And we went to this conference at a museum in Irving, and it was Journey something. I'm sorry, I can't remember it. But during that event, they talked about slavery, which was really interesting. It was a big part of the demonstration that they hosted. And at the end of that demonstration, Story's first words were, we're not here to talk about discrimination, and discrimination really doesn't exist. It's a mind thing. And as Black employees, Black people in general, African American people, that was really disheartening because that's our culture. Whether we like it or not, whether it was a good culture or not, it's our history. And that's what we were discussing. And for someone to stand up and basically say it doesn't exist is to erase the African American history.
Other than the woman that you spoke of that Trost was Everett Trost was the man who you said was a monster to women that worked there, would make remarks towards them about what they were wearing, just generally degrade them every day, especially women of color. Uh,
Mhm.
and there was a woman who he was trying to get nude pictures of, and would leave money under her keyboard in order to get those pictures. And then, of course, Kara Cunningham, who I wrote
Right.
a story on, and that issue that was just disgusting. Did you see anything else going on there in
Well,
that way?
I want to be real clear about Everett Tross. So Everett Tross was a monster, is a monster towards women, but he was a monster towards everyone. It wasn't just women that he attacked. If you were of African American descent, it was his way or the highway. Um, and a lot of times, the information that Everett Tross had made him indisposable to the company, which is why I think it took so long for them to eventually get rid of him. But Everett was obviously the redneck type. He enjoyed his guns. He enjoyed deer hunting and hunting in general, fishing and things like that. Um, Glenn Story's been to his ranch or his land. Brian's been to his land along with their children. I believe even Kara had been once or twice. But the idea that this guy was a VP over a department that was predominantly African American and as racist as he was towards people, sly comments, jokes under the table. It was just, it was really discouraging. And then, even the company as a whole, shocked me at the fact that they didn't care about employees drinking on the job. Because in most cases, in a lot of cases, Everett was a part of that group that would go out and have lunch, and he'd pay for lunches for females, and they'd have a drink or two, and it was no problem. It was no big deal. And I can't imagine if I had done something like that with one of my employees that they would be okay with that.
One more thing I want to touch on is they would offer severance to people that they terminated, and they fired you for you said go into a little bit of detail about
Yeah, so my situation was awkward to say the least, but I reached out to Jenny. I had a disagreement with Jenny Story about how my department was being ran. She was going to be sending out some of my top employees, my supervisors, to a clean location that we had that was a third party to help train. I was on leave at that time when she made that decision, and when I came back, I became aware of this. The problem was it would leave my department with minimal supervision, um, and my team leads would have been out also, which would have caused a lot of hand raising, a lot of questions. We wouldn't be able to answer the calls in a timely manner. It would create a bad experience for the customers we did have.
thank you so much for all of your information. You truly are I don't it's like I don't even want to use this word anymore, but a patriot for
Yeah.
speaking out and letting us know the truth. So how have you been with your new company? You said you're a customer service manager there now?
Yes, I am, and it's a great company. The true Patriot value.
Hmm.
It's not about race. It's not about your religion. It's about offering a product to the customer, delivering on that promise in that product, and ensuring that our employees are well taken care of in the process. And that's what I thought Patriot Mobile was, and it was not.
And as a Christian man, that you really, I mean, that bothered you deeply, right?
It did. It bothered me deeply because I've been a Christian my entire life. I'm not a conservative. They knew that with me coming in. But, you know, the political party that you associate with shouldn't dictate how you treat others. And that's exactly how Patriot Mobile looks at things. And I hope that this will help bring some justice to those that are still there that can't get out because of whatever reason, or those who have left Patriot Mobile and are seeking some type of asylum. So
I do too. Thank you so much, Rodney.
thank you.